Hi, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. I've been meaning to watch that. I'm your host, Monica, and you're joined again. New week, new topic, new guests every single week. And this week we have a very special guest with us today. This is someone I've been following on TikTok for a while. And if you are someone who likes to, watch videos about like TV, movie, media analysts, you most likely have seen her videos pop up on your For You page, or you probably follow her. Her name is MarMar. She is someone who, covers a wide range of topics when it comes to television, film, and media in general. And she is someone that I really do enjoy watching, and so do all of her like over 71,000 followers. So, guys, join me in welcoming MarMar.
Woo!
Yay!
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you on, and happy that we're talking about two of my favorite shows that have come out. One came out very recently. It's called The Brother's Son, and I think it was Netflix's first original series of 2024.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's one of their best, in my opinion. And then we have American Born Chinese, which is a Disney Plus show. So we're going to be covering both of those shows and talking about, Asian identities in television and representation. And before we jump into both of those shows, we're going to get into Media Mania, which is our beginning segment, where we talk about entertainment news, new releases, all that stuff. And for those who may or may not know, even though the podcast comes out every Saturday morning, and sometimes Sunday morning if Monica gets busy, we do record like just generally whenever we have time. And the day we're recording this is the day after the Super Bowl. And, for the Super Bowl, it's like a huge thing. Obviously, some people are there for football because they actually like sports. Other people are there for the halftime show performance, whoever that might be. And then a lot of people are there for the commercials. And the Super Bowl is a huge commercial event because a lot of advertisers will pay so much money to get big stars, big names in their Super Bowl commercials because the Super Bowl is the most watched event of the year. And this Super Bowl season, there were a lot of trailers for new movies that were announced or came out. And one thing I noticed, a lot of the trailers, they didn't show the full trailer in the commercial.
Yeah.
They just kind of like show like a 10-second teaser. And they're like, full trailer online now. And it's like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah. I noticed that with the Deadpool 3, or now it's called Deadpool Wolverine,
Yeah.
they announced the new title of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I'm glad, I guess, maybe as someone who's in advertising as well too. I think a big part of maybe not showing the entire trailer on TV probably is just unit length. Like depending on
Mm-hmm.
the unit length of some ads, like it costs more.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to tease it during the game and then have that kind of engagement of like kind of that call to action to prompt audiences to okay, yeah, like go on this link to watch the full trailer. So you
Mm-hmm.
get that overall, I guess, audience engagement throughout while still having that exposure from the ad. So I wonder if we'll probably see a lot of those trends moving forward whenever these studios will want to, release these trailers during like high profile events like these games.
Yeah. Yeah, that does make more sense. I was thinking about that when I was like first watching it because I remember when the Deadpool trailer first came on, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're finally gonna watch the trailer." And it said online now, and I was like, "This is a troll. Like this is only Marvel's doing this." And then they were all doing it. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I have to actually go online and watch it. Interesting. But I think what you said about like the call to action, having people go online and like seek out the trailer, that does make a lot more sense to do rather than having people just like kind of watch it, on the screen. You know what I mean? Because it saves them money when it comes to ad space, like you said, and then like they can go online and check it out. And it gives them like more, clicks, all that stuff. And there were a lot of movies that were announced during the Super Bowl, or a lot of trailers that came out during the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like you said, there's Deadpool 3, and then
Mm-hmm.
there was the Twister remake
Yes.
starring
Glenn
I,
Powell.
Glenn Powell. Yes. Okay. I always forget his last name. Glenn Powell. And then there's the very highly anticipated Wicked movie.
Yes.
Um, One thing that I didn't know was that Wicked is supposed to be a two-part film.
Yeah.
Did
I had
you?
no idea. I had no idea it was broken up into two parts. I might have seen it early on, but or just it reminded or the reminder that it is part one, part two is
Mm,
interesting. I've never seen a musical be in two parts. Too.
yeah.
I'm just to see how they're gonna break it up. I've seen the musical like in person, like in the theaters before too, not on Broadway, but like just when they were touring, and it's I'm sure it's not as if it was a long musical, but I'm interested to see and curious as to why they broke it up into two parts. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
I'm curious as well because Wicked is one of the most popular musicals out there,
Mhm.
so a lot of people already know what Wicked is about,
Yeah,
and I have a feeling that they're just going to like split it into two, like Act One and Act Two.
that's probably the best way
Yeah.
to, yeah, especially when there's already a natural intermission break in in
Mm.
Broadway shows or musicals. So yeah, that makes sense.
It is a long musical as well, so I understand that. But me personally, I feel like we already know Act One of Wicked is a lot more tame of a story, and then Act Two is like where things get off the rails. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel like me personally, because when the Wicked movie musical was announced, I personally was just like, can we just do the original Broadway recording and like release that into theaters? Like Adina Menzel, and Krista Chenoweth. Like I love Ariana Grande. I love Cynthia Erivo. I love
Yeah.
um crap. I always forget his name. The guy from Bridgerton, Anthony.
Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan Bailey. I almost said Anthony. Like that was his actual name. Yes,
Can't
Jonathan
see it
Bailey.
out. It's my tomorrow.
Like they're all incredibly talented, phenomenal, great. But like me personally, I feel like movie musicals are starting to kind of like get under my skin because there's the thing with like they're not gonna include all the songs, and they may cut certain things for time, and although like movies you don't have to lend too much to the imagination when it comes to the story. You could just put it in the movie and then it kind of makes more sense. But the music mixing for some films when it comes to like movie musicals is are it's not great. It's not good,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just prefer just like the movie musical, the way they did it with Hamilton, the way they did it
Mm-hmm.
with Waitress, like just give us that. We don't
That's
need
true.
all this to do. Also, it probably would be less expensive if we're being honest. I feel
That's
like.
true.
And I feel
That's a good
like
point. That's a very good point.
yeah. I feel like they have the recording somewhere in the archives.
They have to. They have to. I
Yes.
mean, if Hamilton whipped it out like during the pandemic, I feel like I'm sure there's versions of that from the original cast and so forth. But you bring up a good point about yeah, I guess like even with like Mean Girls, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Renee Rapp was one of the original, I think, Regina Georges before the pandemic hit, and then they had
Yeah.
to they stopped everything there. But they have, I guess, so I guess that one's a little bit different because they stopped the run, the Broadway run, but then they end up Renee Rapp was able to have an opportunity to be Regina George again in this movie. But with Wicked, yeah, it's all new cast. There's no like yeah, Idina Menzel, there's no Kristen Chenoweth. Um, but I guess regardless, I'm interested to see what Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo will also bring,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the movie screen of Wicked. So
Yeah.
very highly anticipated. So
It is highly anticipated. I do feel like it's very interesting, especially the casting for me, because like I love musicals, and
mhm.
Cynthia Erivo was already in The Color Purple, the musical, playing Celie, and she was amazing in that. But Ariana Grande, although she is very, very talented, she does not have like a Broadway voice, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And I noticed that as well, like you mentioned with Mean Girls the musical, because um, I always say her first name right, Anjanor.
Renee? Oh no,
No, the girl who played Caddy.
Katie.
Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, I know that I see the name in my head, but I
uh,
cannot also pronounce her name too.
I think
But
it's
the
Anne.
actress that plays Katie in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Anne Gory, probably.
Lord.
And
That sounds familiar, but I also don't
mm-hmm.
want to butcher her name.
Yeah, I like. She's a very good actress. I noticed in the film, and like she's been in other things too. And I want to like check out the other
Mhm.
things she's been in,
Yeah.
but she could only like hold a note. Is what I noticed when I was watching the movie.
Yeah,
Like,
she wasn't a standout in terms of yeah, definitely it was funny because again, Mean Girls was about Katie. I mean, well, also the Lindsay Lohan of it all obviously helped with um putting Katie on that map, but then the Katie in the movie because I think she was a significantly reduced role in the story
which
that
was
she just
weird. Yeah.
yeah, she kind of faded into. to the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was all about Renee Rapp. It was all about Regina George. Like they
Yeah.
really marketed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. It was very interesting. But of course, Wicked, we'll just have to wait until it comes out and then see what it's giving. Like, it's not fair
Yeah.
to compare it to the things we watch right now because we don't know what the creators had in mind and what they have in store. And John Cho is a very talented director, so I'm sure that like whatever he has created for us, it'll be amazing, spectacular. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I felt a little like off because when I watched the trailer for Wicked, when Cynthia Erivo was holding her note for Defying Gravity, it was very much off. So I was like, that's not how she sings. So I know that's not how she sings because I've
Maybe it
listened
was
to
an
her.
editing choice or some sort of. I think I might have noticed that because I was waiting for that, and then it kind
Mm,
of
it was
they
bad.
they were teasing that.
Yeah. I feel like if you're going to have like a Tony a nominated, possibly winning, I would have to Google that, like actress as your lead, and you're going to have her like holding the note for one of the most iconic songs in musical theater, please find the one with the best note possible. Like the amount of times these commercials have to go, like the amount of people these commercials have to go through before they end up airing on television,
Mhm.
I would have expected better. That's all I'm saying.
True.
That's all I'm
Uh,
saying.
I also want to fact check you. Yeah, she is a Tony winning actress.
Okay,
Yeah,
exactly. Tony winning.
there we
So,
go. So even
yes.
more. So
Yeah. And there were a lot of other trailers that were shown during the Super Bowl. Like Monkey Man is another one. It's a big
yeah.
hit from Jordan Peele and
Mm,
Dev Patel's directorial debut, which is coming out in June. And then A Quiet Place Day Run, which is basically like the prequel
yeah.
for like A Quiet Place, which I'm kind of excited but also nervous for because it looks really good.
I didn't know what to expect or how they were going to tell that story, and when I saw the metropolitan, just the like just like kind of like in the middle of New York City, and then just seeing everything kind of just crash and burn,
Mm-hmm.
that got me even more excited because I want to see how everything falls
Mm-hmm.
and how it's reduced to what we see in the first Quiet Place with John
Mm-hmm.
Krasinski and Blunt's characters. Um, and it's interesting that I don't think Lupita was saying, or she didn't say anything in the trailer. That wasn't something I noticed, that she was not. She was very more expressive or emotive.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just speculation because I just don't know. Maybe she's not saying. I know, like in the first original, like the Quiet Place movies, obviously they had to do sign language the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, because if you watch the movies, then you know that those alien monsters hear sound, very sensitive to the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if Lupita is a character that doesn't speak, because she wasn't talking, at least in the trailer, but I could be wrong, and it's just, yeah, that's my assumption.
I don't really have any like assumptions about the movie quite yet
Mhm.
because if I'm being perfectly honest, I haven't seen A Quiet Place.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it's just too scary for me. You know?
That's what I thought too, and it's
Yeah.
definitely more like a psychological kind of thriller, at
Mm-hmm.
least for me. I mean, I don't know what your appetite is for, or your tolerance for horror, but there's a lot of just very tension filled scenes, of course. So that
Mm-hmm.
like, that always gives me anxiety too, when like
Yeah.
nothing's gonna happen, but you're just like waiting for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's like even the second movie too. Both movies are very well done. I do like the stories of those. Emily Blunt is really incredible
Yeah.
in these movies. So
Yes. I am going to try and watch A Quiet Place because I've only just now gotten into horror films, if I'm being honest.
okay.
Um, I started getting into them when Midsummer came out, so I think that was like 2016.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, I was like, I don't watch horror movies; they're scary. But that was just a cop out because like I didn't want to be scared. But then watched Midsummer, and I was like, this isn't that scary. But people don't understand it, and I immediately got it. And I was like, what if I watch other horror movies and I see how scary it is? But I went from like Midsummer to Hereditary, which is like a huge jump. But then
Oh,
after watching Hereditary, I was like, this is a little creepy, but it's not that scary. So maybe I should give these a
mhm.
chance. And then I realized like a lot of horror movies that come out aren't as scary as Hereditary. They try to be scary, but they're bad. And it's like, this is nothing. I've been holding myself back for so long.
Yeah.
For what? This is nothing. So I do want to like try. One thing I always wanted to do, like I wanted to do for a long time, is do like a movie watch night club thing, whatever, like Discord, and like have people like the listeners, like my TikTok followers, come in my Discord, like watch movies. So one day I would like to do that with like A Quiet Place, or possibly with
Mm.
what's that movie? Talk to Me, because that
Oh
is
yeah,
that's
that
a,
one is a good one too. I like to talk to me as well.
mm-hmm,
I'm glad they're getting a sequel. I won't spoil it, but like yeah, I mean it can naturally lend itself to a sequel. So I'm glad that they got greenlit for a sequel.
mm-hmm.
So I like Talk to Me. It's another one that's not too. It is creepy at times, but not like scary.
Mm.
At least for me, it wasn't. So
Okay. I hadn't watched it because when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, this is I felt like childhood fear. I was watching that. I was like, ooh,
mm,
that's like it's like don't touch it's like when you're in the, you're at the thrift shop and you see like weird creepy things in the thrift shop,
yeah,
it's like don't touch that.
yeah,
Don't touch that. That gives me bad vibes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I have all
Especially
these kids sitting around like a hand and they're all shaking their head. And I'm like, y'all are weird. Like this is not something I'd be
yeah.
into.
I would never be in that party, but
Absolutely
you do you.
not. Yeah, if you like it, I love it. But I'm not about to participate. Sorry, babe. So,
Yeah,
yes. Okay. So I mean that's honestly all I want to talk about in regards to the Super Bowl, because people want to talk about like whether or not the game was like scripted, or like if everything was like planned all along by like Taylor Swift's team. And I think it's funny that people think that Taylor Swift has a hand in like the NFL. Like, what did that girl do? Like, really, who do you think she is, guys? Like,
yeah. So many other things that she's doing right now. I don't
yeah,
think plotting the NFL and the outcome of games is on the top of her list, maybe. But
right. I understand that like her starting to date Travis Kelsey and then him winning a Super Bowl does like kind of like ring into people's ears, like, ooh, it's a conspiracy theory. I'm
yeah,
in like a muck, like, but
yeah,
I don't think it's that deep. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I don't think we should care that deeply about a football game, y'all. Like, it is what it is. We'll
There's
be
other things in the
honest.
world that yeah that we can care about more than just figuring out
Yes.
this.
Yeah. One thing I was very shocked by when I was watching the Super Bowl, and I didn't include this in my outline. I don't know why I did it, but
Okay.
was when I saw the Verizon commercial with Beyonce, and I was like, and I was there with my friends,
Yeah.
and we were all like, "Is that Beyonce?" Like all of us together, which was so funny to me because like notoriously known for not doing commercials and not talking to the
Yeah.
public, just living her private life, and now
Yeah.
she has a hair care line. Now she's in a Verizon
Yeah.
commercial, and fully use a Verizon commercial to announce her new music. Like that was funny to me. And honestly, haven't listened to the music yet, but I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to listen. I'm excited for
Yeah.
Act Two. I think it's gonna be great. Everyone
Yes.
is predicting that Act Three is gonna be a rock album, and like,
I've been seeing that too, and I think that would be. I got like someone said that, and I kind of got really excited. I was like, wait, I would because I feel like we got a hint of that in the "Don't Hurt Yourself"
mm-hmm,
when she had Jack White. Like
yeah,
I think that is rock. So I think that's rock. But I love that song. I think I love Daddy's Lessons as well too, and that's
mm-hmm,
also her leaning more into country. So
yeah,
see her explore more of that genre from those songs. I'm excited.
yes. I am very excited for new music. Always looking for something to listen to, Beyonce. So whatever you got, I'm gonna
Yes.
take it. I'm gonna take it. What do you have to give? I'll get it, please.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, along with the Super Bowl, um, not only the Super Bowl, but there was some other stuff that came out recently that I found very interesting. First, I wanted to talk about um, Mark Ruffalo was recently in an interview, and he was asked about a solo Hulk movie. And of course, him working for Marvel is like, I can't tell you anything about that because they got me under lock and key. So,
Yeah.
sealed. But he did reveal that he will be in Captain America 4 Brave
Yeah.
New World, which I'm excited for. Also, can't wait for that movie to like come out whenever it does.
Yeah, that
Whenever
one
it
is. Yeah, I think the MC right now is kind of just slowly doing the rollout. It's just very odd since the last few years have just been like cranking them out left
Yeah.
and right. Um, it's interesting that Mark Ruffalo. I mean, I think at a certain point too, you can tell that the MCU is trying to still keep that nostalgia level and trying to get some of the OGs to come back in one way or another. So I'm not surprised that Mark Ruffalo will come back as a Hulk. I mean, I personally think he's not done yet with his story too. So we'll see what else he can bring. Um, but I feel like a lot of people in that movie. Like Captain America 4 just seems very packed. So
Yeah.
we'll see what kind of story they're telling with so many characters in this movie.
Yeah, this one is definitely loaded with a lot of characters, like you said. Um, I feel like because of everything that's been going on with like the strikes and also with the ongoing genocide in Gaza, I probably won't be watching Captain America 4. At most, I will be bootlegging it or like just like, selling the high seas, I guess I should say. But really, I don't know if I find any real interest in Captain America 4, which I it's kind of disappointing for me to say because as happy as I am for Anthony Mackie for being Captain
Yeah.
America, and as happy as I am that there is a black Captain America, which is like very cool, um, I don't think that with whatever has been going on in the MCU and in Hollywood, there has been a very like clean rollout for the introduction or like the new wave of the MCU or the new phases. There hasn't been like a clear direction as to introducing these characters and what's next, what's being set up, what should we be anticipating, what we should be looking forward to, and also the fact that like Disney is bankrolling a genocide right now. And like, it's hard to be excited for a lot of things. Like, I'm happy for new Beyonce music, but at the same time, like, all these announcements, all these great things that happened during the Super Bowl kind of distract people for the fact that, like, there was a bombing in the city of Rafah, which is a city in the south of Gaza, where all the people of Gaza went to like be safe and to like find safety and like security, and it was the last place where they could like find refuge. And now they don't really have anywhere else to go currently. So right now it's kind of like you want to be happy for these things, you want to be excited for these things, like Marvel, and I love Marvel, I love DC, but it's also like this company, you guys kind of suck. Like what's going
Yeah.
on, you know?
It's definitely an interesting kind of balance to try, or just try. It's very conflicting, and you're trying to balance both. And then I think at a certain point, you just gotta, figure out what you want to consume
Mm-hmm.
for yourself and what your
Yeah.
priorities are as well. And you can't blame others for not wanting to support certain things for valid reasons. Um, but yeah, it's definitely like an interesting time to kind of navigate what we want to watch, what we don't want to watch, and then like just kind of seeing how a lot of things are happening outside of these of what we're consuming too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And with the strikes also that happened for the majority of
Mhm.
last year, a lot of films have been pushed off until like next
Yeah,
year or have been shelved. Like Mikey
yeah.
17 has been like shelved. I don't know if indefinitely is the word because in a couple articles it says indefinitely. Other articles
Oh,
says that there's going to be another release date announced. But Bong Joon Ho has already announced that he's going to be working on an animated film. So I feel like Mikey 17, he was kind of like, if Universal doesn't tell me what's going on, I'm finding a new job. Like, I'm working.
props to him. It, hey, you gotta pay bills.
Yeah,
Like you gotta, like I need to start working.
yeah. He's like, I did one American film and y'all play in my face. So I'm good. I'm great, actually. I don't need this.
I want a top prize. So I
Exactly.
mean, if that's not enough for you guys,
Yeah,
then I'm going on to the next thing.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna keep it pushing. All right, this checks, these bills keep coming. All right, no matter what you say. So, which I respect, and I'm excited to see his animated film. Did want to see Mikey 17, of course, because I felt like it was a very interesting film, very interesting concept, but things
Yeah.
happen.
Hmm.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, but you know what is another interesting announcement that I saw, which kind of ties into like what we're talking about today, is that the new Karate Kid movie,
Yeah.
which is going to be starring Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, um, has found their lead star, and that lead star is going to be Ben Wang. Uh,
Yeah.
Ben, He is in American Born Chinese, which is the show we're going to be talking about today, and he has been tapped to lead the next installment in the franchise, which is pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah, like I'm first off, it wasn't on our radar that there's a
Yeah.
new Karate Kid movie in the works, and then to see that, yeah, it's Ben Wang who have we've been seeing like in these roles as well too, and finally getting another like, kind of like starring role in a
Mm-hmm.
movie of all things too. I'm excited for him. He's on his way, and I love that he's getting booked and busy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very awesome that he is in this new role. He was in American Born Chinese. He was also in this show called Chang Can Dunk, which is another
Yeah.
show that was on Disney Plus that I think
Hmm.
was like a little like underrated and get a little like press and stuff. But
Hmm.
I'm excited to see what the new Karate Kid movie is looking like because honestly, with remakes, I'm just kind of like, let's just see what happens. Let's just see how it looks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need all the details. I don't need all the updates. I'll just watch the movie when it comes out, and I'll let you
Yeah,
know my opinion.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because I feel like people are really quick to judge certain remakes, and people will follow like beat by beat news, and they'll try to make their assumptions based off those kind of things, and then they'll like overthink it or like overreact to like certain updates. And for me personally, you gotta let movies be made. You have to let things play out. You gotta let things fall into place, and then like let the chips fall where they may. And then the film you have at the end of the day is the film that you have. So
Hmm. No,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see what else they can bring to the Karate Kid story,
yeah,
and what Bang Wang will bring to as I guess the next Karate Kid. So yeah, excited.
yeah. It would be really cool. And it's interesting because there was the original Karate Kid, and then there's a Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, and
Yeah,
now there's another one.
and then they have the Cobra Kai series on Netflix, which I
Mm-hmm.
actually personally haven't. I've heard cool things about it. Like
Yeah.
I know there's a very big fan base around that show as well,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously Rob Macchio and I can't remember the rival in
Mm-hmm.
the original story. Obviously, like they're competing like dojos, and then apparently they're like fighting left and right, like of like which seems so unrealistic but
Mm-hmm.
cool, with all these kids just fighting each other like
Yeah.
just on straight. Um, but I mean, I think they're like 5, 6 seasons in or something. Um, so I wonder if those are going to also be connected to this movie.
It would be interesting if it was, but considering Cobra
Yeah,
Kai is like a 5 season show right now, I think that would be too much lore to include in a film. You
that
know what I
would be a
mean?
little bit too much, or maybe just maybe a call. Like it doesn't have to be a fully invested. Like you need
Yeah.
prior knowledge in watching 5 seasons of Cobra Kai to watch this new movie. So I'm hoping it's just maybe a tease of like just the existence of this cinematic universe. So I mean, if they're already gonna have Ralph Macchio back in, who I think he reprises his role in Cobra Kai, so I'm assuming just the existence of that character in this new movie, I think will just solidify the greater universe. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's interesting because we're now in a time where remakes are so popular, but to see like a remake of a remake happen and for this to now be like a common thing in Hollywood, it's
yeah,
it's a little weird, I guess in my opinion, because I know like they kind of see it not as like an easy thing, but it's kind of just like, listen, you already know this thing, you already know this. So if we just do it again, like you've seen with other franchises, then it's not going to be that much different. It's just something that's like familiar to people, and it's easier to bank on familiarity than making something completely new and like a completely new different concept. You know?
oh definitely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think nostalgia and yeah, familiarity is always the safer choice.
yeah,
Um, but I also just love. I mean, I don't mind like yeah, like remakes and sequels and all that, but also I always love a good original story as well too.
mm-hmm,
And I think that's why everything everywhere all at once. I always go back to that. Like did so
yeah,
well because it just felt like something so new,
mm-hmm,
and people were kind of craving that and felt satisfied from an original story like that.
mm-hmm. That's very true. It's very true. And then sometimes with like original stories, people ask for like sequels. Like I remember when Midsummer came
Yeah.
out and people were wondering if there's going to be a sequel to that, and I was like, why would there be? Why would there be?
Why would there be a
Dude,
Midsummer?
did you not see what happened? Hello? There's nobody else. The
What more
story's
is there to
over.
say sometimes too? Yeah.
Exactly. Nothing left to say. But I am very excited for the new Karate Kid. And I'm excited to see what Ben Wig is going to be giving us in terms of like his karate skills. Because, you know, in American Born Chinese, he doesn't really like fight at all in the show.
He doesn't.
No, he's just kind of, he's
I
like,
don't think. Yeah, he's
no.
like that character that's just kind of like reacting to everyone fighting
Mm,
and like running away from the chaos.
yes. Yeah. And it's the same
But we'll
thing.
see.
Yeah, we will see. And I'm excited to see Karate Kid. But we can just jump right into, you know, American Born Chinese and The Brother Son.
Hmm.
Two shows that I am very excited to talk about. Especially like how similar, not how similar the shows are, but there are a lot of similarities, I would say,
Mhm.
especially with like the leads. Because with Bruce, who's in The Brother Son, and then I'm about to say Ben, and his name is not Ben in the show.
What's the actor's name? Yeah,
Yeah,
Jin.
Jin. Yeah, Jin and Bruce are both American born Chinese kids, and they both did not speak Chinese very well. And also, they have kind of fallen into like a story that they were not obviously like previously had any knowledge of any of this going on, and then
Yeah.
somewhat thrown into the action, and then have to
Hmm.
like adapt to how their life has changed with this like newfound knowledge and this newfound conflict that's been introduced that's completely out of the ordinary and completely unfamiliar to them. You know, with American Born Chinese for Jin, he is this normal kid. He just like wants to play soccer and hang out with his friends and be cool and like just be kind of invisible and not be like not stand out any kind of way. And there's this new kid that comes to his school and he has to like help the new kid out and like show the new kid around. What he doesn't know is that this new kid has a connection to Chinese folklore that's going to completely change the way that his life is. And then there's a brother son where Bruce son is living his normal life. He goes to school, he wants to do improv, you know, blah blah blah. And his mom is like a normal mom who just like, you know, talks to the ladies that plays mahjong and, you know, she lives her life. What he doesn't know is that his brother Charles, his older brother, is a Taipei gangster who was part of their family's organized crime unit, and their dad ends up in a coma. So Charles has to go to Los Angeles, where his mom and his brother live, to try and resolve what is going on within the unit. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, I'd say. Um,
Definitely.
I did want to know, like, did you watch American Born Chinese previously, or did you kind of like rewatch it or like start watching it when I suggested it to you?
I would say that I haven't like revisited it since I first watched it when it came out, I believe in May or June, like sometime early middle of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just based on like I think my initial reactions or just like the thoughts I had while watching it, it
Mm-hmm.
was so fun. It was a
Yeah.
very fun coming of age kind of fantasy story, and to kind of see those, you know, like the real world and then like the fantastical like mystical world kind of coming together, um and seeing all those conflicts play out. It reminded me a lot of, and I kept always comparing American Born Chinese to um Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, or American Dragon Jake Long, which are both also Disney Channel stories.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that American Born Chinese also just felt like an extension of that and then played into at least my nostalgia for those stories growing up. So that's why I think I gravitated to American Born Chinese, and I really liked the story that they were telling there.
Yeah, I feel that. Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, was one of my favorite movies
Oh,
growing up.
I love
I
when
I love that movie, and I feel like that's the perfect comparison to the show American Born Chinese because I remember when it was first announced, and I felt like this show was like really interesting and super cool, and it did look really fun, and it looked perfect for like Disney Plus's audience. But
Mhm,
then I figured out that they were just gonna release it like the show fully, and I felt like
mhm,
that was like to the detriment of the show because Disney Plus loves to do weekly releases.
Yeah.
Like they did it with the Marvel shows, they did it with Percy Jackson. So of
Mhm.
course, when you do like the weekly releases, like people can like talk about the show and they're anticipating the next episode and
Exactly.
everything. But like when you just drop the show on your platform without much fanfare, it could just like kind
Yeah.
of come and go. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
I
yeah, I feel like that's what happened with the show. Despite it being like really good and very funny, like you said, or, like very well written, um, I'm not surprised it got canceled after one season, which was really disappointing because
yeah.
there was so much more story in
Yeah.
that show. And because it dived into like Chinese mythology, and I feel like it had a lot of elements that would have connected with a young audience, I think
Yes.
that if you gave it a second season, it could have really picked up steam. Especially because like you have Michelle Yeoh in your show, like
Yeah. I Kiwi Kwan.
right, yes, Edwell as well, as well.
Yeah, you had like big names attached to it, and I think I wish Disney put a lot more marketing efforts towards those shows too,
Mm-hmm.
with your Oscar-winning actors, mind
Yes.
you, too, with on these shows. And yeah, I think it's and I think it's just a greater conversation about I think the streaming a lot of streaming shows in general with like how a lot of these streaming services will drop all the episodes all at once without really putting a lot of efforts to market and get people to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's always I've always been someone who's like likes weekly releases. Like I'm traditional, I guess, that way. I don't like feeling. I mean, everyone feels different about the binge versus the weekly releases, but personally, I think I've been prefer a weekly release so I can like continue stay with the story, stay with these characters much longer, then feel obligated to be the next episode's next, and then I finish it in one night, and then it's like on to the next one, and I kind of forget. So I think the longevity and the of shows will be maintained through weekly releases, and I think that would have helped. I think American Born Chinese grow an audience.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't understand why streaming services do this all the time because there are a number of shows where there are a number of new shows that have come out where they kind of just drop the show and then because it doesn't pick up a lot of traction online or pick up a lot of steam or like not a lot of people have watched it, they'll just like cancel it because they feel like it's a lost cause. And
Yeah.
with how well done American Born Chinese is, the second season without a doubt would have been even better because the show, first of all, like the fight scenes, amazing, okay, and the dialogue, funny. Like this
Yeah.
kid, Jin, I fully believe he's a teenager.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, because a lot of times when they're writing teenagers, it's very clear that like it's an adult trying to write in a kid's voice,
Yeah.
and Jin is like so perfectly awkward and just like to himself that's like this I'm watching this kid's life. Like I'm watching
Mhm.
this kid just simply try to like go to soccer practice, like you know, make up with his friend, his best friend, and like not draw too much attention to himself. He's just trying to live his normal life. And I also love the show a lot because of the new actors in the show.
Mhm.
Because you can always kind of tell when you're watching a TV show if it's someone's like kind of first time on the screen. And a lot of times, whenever I'm watching TV shows or movies, and I see an actor who's like not as experienced alongside a more experienced actor,
Mhm.
it feels like a little off. It feels like a little
Yeah.
shaky. But I feel
Yep.
like with the kid who was playing, um, let me get his name right because I know I wrote it down. Wei Chen? Or wait,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Rich one. Yeah.
Wei Chen. The kid who's playing Wei Chen, he is actually like a fairly good actor.
Oh
And
yeah.
I feel like this was kind of like maybe his first role, but alongside Michelle Yeoh, I like their scenes together.
Yes.
And Michelle Yeoh, gosh, she's so good because she can do action and she can do comedy like
Yes.
effortlessly.
I liked her character a lot in this as well too. She kind
Mm-hmm.
of played. She was like this like god. I mean, yeah, this goddess that was kind of like also a maternal figure and then like a mentor helping these two kids kind of go on their journeys, whatever to accomplish the goals that they need to. Also, but also just with growing up, be able to become a better leader or a better person or whatnot. So I
Mm-hmm.
liked her role as kind of that mentor, that maternal figure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, still giving her the action sequences that we all want to see Michelle Yeoh do
Of
in anything
course.
she's in.
Of course.
So And it was great. It's always nice to see Michelle Yeoh, just Michelle Yeoh,
It's nice to just see her like do her thing,
just
you know.
exist.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Fully in her character, and her character was very interesting. I did love seeing her act alongside like all the young actors
Mhm.
because there is something I don't know how exactly to describe this, but when you see an actor who has been doing this for like years and years and years, like decades, and the way they act is almost like they are a chameleon. Like they could so effortlessly become this new character, and you just recognize their talent, and then do that alongside someone who's young. It's so interesting to see them like play off of each other, and
Mhm.
see what that creates, and see what kind of like bond they form with one another. And I did want to see more of like, I guess Ben Wang and then Michelle Yeoh acting alongside each other, because of course like when you were like watching because when I was watching the promotion spots for the show, that's what I got. Like that was my impression. Like Ben Wang and like Michelle Yeoh would be interacting more, and that didn't happen. But it's not like it was a detriment to the show. I just would have liked a little bit more of their interaction. I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah, I think that would be
oh,
cool.
definitely.
Yeah, and I did find American Born Chinese interesting because of the storyline,
Mhm.
where essentially, Jin, he just wants to be a normal kid. He doesn't want any kind of special attention. And in the start of the show, we see him trying out for the soccer team, trying to hang out with the cool kids, the athletes, and his friend, Anuj, is kind of like, listen, your buddy, your pal made fun of me, and you didn't sit up. You didn't say
Yeah.
anything. And he was kind of like, well, what did you want me to say? Like, what did you want me to do? Like, I'm not like, what was I supposed to say? Like, if you come to school looking weird, people are going to say things. It's kind of like, oh, that's how you feel about your friend, Ben? Like, that's what
Yeah.
you're gonna do? And not gonna lie, if something happened at my school where I fell into a trash can and I like crashed into like a trophy case and then everyone turned into a meme, I would stop coming to school. I
I
probably
would just leave, I would move.
I would either like not come back to school or I would just
Yeah.
laugh along with everybody else. Like, yes, this happened. It does not matter. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, move on. But the one thing I would not want is like the culture club coming to me and be like, we're here for you. Your pain, we feel it. It's like, girl, back up. You do not feel my pain. I
I'm
got,
glad you said that.
yes.
I'm glad you said that because I also felt that same way too, where I was like, who asked? I didn't ask for this. I understand the need for that for her and the culture club to kind of come in to, I guess, again, part of Jin's like character development was also reckoning with his cultural identity while
Yeah.
at the same time still feeling like he needs to assimilate into these situations because he is also just Asian American and wanting to not yeah, attract that much unwanted attention. So to have the culture club kind of coming in to represent like the things that he's been kind of trying to repress, even though like it's for me personally, I always love I like having the support of a culture club like that, but also the way that she kind of just like inserted herself that way too was also like okay, like yeah, like
Yeah.
let's take it down a notch.
Yeah. It's like, I appreciate the gesture,
Yeah.
but the signs and like standing up at lunch tables, we ain't gotta do all that. Like,
I think she was using that as an example. I think it's she was still censoring herself because she was using that as an example to prop up whatever her agenda was, which was to bring that
yes.
awareness.
Yeah.
And it's like yes and no,
Mm-hmm.
because Ben didn't ask for that.
Right. I feel like that was one of the examples when I was watching the show. It's kind of like, is this what people think happens now in like high schools? Like, kids are throwing protests because they don't do that. They actually don't.
I haven't been in school in a minute, but I have no idea.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think kids be doing that. Y'all think that kids are like that because of social media, but like,
Oh yeah.
it's not. I beg to differ.
That's
So,
another thing too, where that's a good point where it's like, yeah, like the culture around these kids who are in middle school and high school and like
mm-hmm.
trying to get that sense of what their generation is kind of going through and what they say and what they prioritize, what they're interested in or not interested in. I think American Born Chinese kind of is a good snapshot of this generation that's in school right now too. So like just
Mm-hmm.
to watch it as an older person, like, someone who's not in high school, but like just to see what's going on
Yeah.
nowadays. Oh, that was cool.
Yeah. It was cool. And I feel like there are a lot of shows that try to center like high school age kids, and because the writers are not in high school, the experiences that they're trying to put in are experiences that they either wanted to have in high school or they think kids are having, or experiences that they had in high school. And I feel like for some kids it's like, oh yeah, I know a kid that's like that, but like it's not the whole school doing this kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
Euphoria or like 13 Reasons Why.
Oh
Like
my god.
those are two shows that like I feel like adults watch because they want to understand what high schoolers are like. And I'm just here to tell y'all they're not like this. Okay, they don't be doing all that, I promise you. Like if you hear about all the news, it is like 1 in like 12,000. Like please, most of these kids just show up to class, they go to their clubs, they eat their lunch, they go home, that's it. It's
Yeah.
not even like that. And I think American Born Chinese is really funny. It's showing like not, I guess, yeah, the mundanity of what it is to be like a high school student, because like Ben has stuff going on, but he doesn't really have like stuff going on in
Yeah.
school, you know.
Yeah, he's just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Well, he's barely surviving high school, and I
Yes.
get that. I
Like
get that.
he's showing up to class, he wants to play soccer,
Yeah,
and
let him play soccer.
yeah, I feel like kids becoming memes on the internet is not, probably not that far to reach, because everyone is on
Yeah.
their phones a lot, and like
Mm.
people do use TikTok. And like when I was in high school, there was a Instagram page going on. There were like two pages going on. One was for fights, and the other one was about girls who were
Oh.
easy. So it's not,
Ooh.
yeah,
No.
not good, not good. But it's not that outside of the realm of reality for me, at least.
Yeah.
Was it like that at your high school, where they had like a fight Instagram page?
Oh my god. No. There definitely was not that going on, or else I would have been more in the know about that.
Mm.
But I'm trying to think. I think around my, I mean, I think around for me, I think it was definitely still Facebook. Instagram was popping off
Hmm.
a lot more, and maybe Snapchat. I think so. I think
Oh
there was
yeah.
still like a lot of those social media pages going around. Personally, I didn't have social media until I think junior, senior year of high school, which I was pretty good about, pretty disciplined in that regard. And then from there, when I got to college, I was like, okay, like I can actually, I need kind of social media in the sense to for socialization, to get to know people that I don't know,
Yeah.
join these clubs and like yeah, and have that kind of community sense of community.
Hmm.
So um, I was using social media, I guess, in the sense in the way that the kids in American Born Chinese were using it. Um, but I can see how the social media like plays out too. I have family who are teachers or like as well too. So it's interesting to hear what the kids are doing through my family members who are teachers, and seeing that kind of like seeing what they're doing and like what's going on there. So, but
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I could see that. I did want to bring that up because I found it interesting how they try to like, I don't, position his story, Jin's story, with the actor that Ki Hu Kwan
oh yeah,
plays in
yeah.
that show. Yeah.
Mhm.
And at first, we're just kind of like introduced to him, and he's like the slapstick character. He's a comedic
Yeah.
relief, so to speak. You know, it's a show about this guy. He's a repairman, and he
Mhm.
has like this Chinese friend who speaks with an accent and has like the goofy glasses and the hair, almost like an Urkel.
Yeah.
And he constantly has things falling on him, or he constantly is tripping, whatever it might be. It's obviously like a lot of physical humor
Yeah.
surrounding him and his character, and the show is kind of like revitalized through a meme on TikTok, because, they're basically doing like fails. Like someone
Yeah.
falling off a boat, or like someone like falling down the stairs, and then the video ends with like, what could go wrong, as like his
Yes.
punchline for the show. And there is a meme with Ben, who like falls into a trash can, crashes into the trophy case, and then like completely like kind of like eats shit, so to speak. And then the video ends with what could go wrong. And
Hmm.
when I was watching it on just watching the episodes, I was trying to piece together like what exactly it was, and I was trying to get I was trying to picking up on the I was picking up on the fact that like Ben is so tied up in his image in like being one of the guys and be like one of the normal kids and everything. He doesn't want to be like kind of set apart. So he's willing to like get up on the tables and be like, hey, that guy who took a video of me completely eating shit, he's actually a nice guy, guys. And you know, he's cool. And I want to be on the soccer team and I'll do whatever it takes. Even if it means saying this, which is kind of like showing that I have no self respect for myself. You know, it's like whatever, you know, I just want to fit in, you know, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And of course, with Ki Huan Kwan's character, he states in an interview that he does at the end of the series that, like, he's grateful for the opportunity, he's grateful for the role, but he didn't get a lot of roles, he didn't get a lot of good roles after that one. And even with the role that he got, like, if he really had a choice, he probably would have said yes to it. Because, like,
Yeah.
if you're doing that for however many seasons the show is on, which probably was a lot because it's supposed to be, like, a parody of, like, you know, early 80s sitcom. So probably had, like, 6 or, like, 5 seasons or, like, 10, whatever it might be. If you're doing that, playing that role for that long, at a certain point you want to be like, I can't do this no more. Like, y'all can't keep dropping ceiling fans on my head. Like, I need a break, you know?
Yeah.
And I really love the speech that he gave at the end because it does perfectly mirror like his real life experience being an actor in Hollywood, and then like his experience as a like character on the show, and then Jen's experience as well. Because he's trying to just fit in, but at a certain point, you have to stand up for yourself. And you have to be like, I'm not gonna take this. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't deserve this. I deserve better. Like these people, these friends are not my friends. You constantly make fun of your friends. That's not how you treat your friends. Like you videotaped me and you put it online so I can be made fun of by hundreds of thousands of people. That's not what a friend does. That's not how you treat friends. And I like that. I love that story and I love that message for like young kids to understand because young kids still have to deal with the whole thing of like trying to fit in and trying to be like everybody else and not wanting to stand out. But there's nothing wrong with that. And then also reflecting that with having to be an actor and like trying to decide, am I going to take this role where I'm kind of like debasing myself, or am I going to pass on this and wait for
Mm-hmm.
something better to come along? Because acting is not an easy job and opportunities are very scarce. And although there are some people on the internet who like to act like the Hollywood is full of the liberal elite and the woke mob is coming for us with these black people who want to be in sci-fi movies. But just know these opportunities are not that far and wide as you think they
Mm-hmm.
are. You know.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that you connected both of those or like compared because yeah, it definitely was two stories that you may not think like have anything to do with each other, but they're so interconnected because we keep saying this term like representation matters, but it really does, and it can make an impact from like all the way to Jin Wang, just this kid who the only way they have a connection is through social media and through their phone, and be able to see that when he saw that video of Ki Kwan's character Jamie Yao make that speech about like I wanted more for myself after this role.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that I just took the opportunity that I had at that time, but I understand too that I want more for myself and I want to be more known for more than just that. And yeah, like that idea of self-respect and be able to kind of be able to leave something, leave something that like behind that you're proud of as well. So
Right.
I think Jin was very, in a way, Jen was very moved by that and inspired to kind of, yeah, like feel like I don't need to take all this like BS from other people and like make people like, you know, mold my own image and like tell me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can, yeah, I can stand up for myself. I can hang out who I want to hang out, and I can be proud of who I am in my culture and in my background, while also just being who I am in school. And so yeah, like there's so be a multifaceted person.
Yeah.
You can be multiple things at once.
Absolutely. And I like that with American Born Chinese and The Brother Son and so many other like TV shows and movies, so many things out there. There are so many more things to watch with diverse roles and also
Mm-hmm.
diverse characters because it's not enough for you to like put a black person in your movie and then they're just kind of like there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they have to have some kind of attributes. They have to be interesting. Like there has to be more to them than that. And
Mhm.
the example for me that always stands out is Winston in Noon Girl, because
Mhm.
I love Winston as a character. I think he's very funny. But one thing that I noticed like very early on in the seasons was that like first it was Coach. You know, he was kind of like the black stand-in, but then he ended up being on Happy Days, Happy
Mhm.
Endings. So then Lamorne Morris, I think is the actor's name, he was casted in the show as Winston, and Winston was just kind of there for like goofs and giggles and like for comedy, and like there was
Yeah.
nothing else that we really knew about his character. So
Yeah.
then in like later seasons, they added a lot more to him. We got to know a little bit more about his character, like a lot more depth. We saw him like dating people, and I really appreciated that because you can't just like have a black person in your show and be like, "Hey guys, look, look at this, look
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
it's great. Like we have Winston and we have Cece, but even like Cece, she was just kind of there as like, oh, just his exotic, sexy friend, and then we know like not much else about her. So then,
Yeah.
as we get to know like Winston and Cece more, you have to understand that, like you cannot just like cast diverse people in your shows and then have only the white people have like attributes, hopes, dreams,
Yeah.
flaws, imperfections, and then the people who are not white are just there as like jokes and best buddies to do little silly things with. Like there needs to be more to your characters. You can't just like stick them in for like brownie points and be like, oh well, I'm done for the day. Thanks a lot. I'll be waiting for Miami. Like
Mhm.
you gotta put a little more effort into it. And I'm glad that shows like American Born Chinese and The Brother Sun exists so that we could see like a full cast of people who are not white but fully in like their own culture and not only doing things that are like stereotypical but they are expanded
Yeah.
outside of that as like full people. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Um, all right. American Born Chinese. Was there any other, um, I guess, takeaways you had from American Born Chinese as a show?
I think I love how, yeah, I think I spoke to it a little bit earlier about like the mythology and the world building of
Mm
the Chinese gods and how it kind of collided with the real world, the
hmm.
world that we live in, and kind of being able to also expand, just more, just mythology, Chinese mythology, and getting that introduction because I've never really explored or like learned a lot about Chinese mythology. So to see these gods and then these like the Monkey King or like all yeah like kind of animal like amorphic. I don't know if that's the word, but these types of like characters like that are just so different, but also still are very much human, still very much flawed.
Hmm.
Um, in a way, it's kind of similar to Percy Jackson, where yeah, these like worlds are kind of just colliding, and then you're able to see that even though it's in a fantasy, like we're all the same essentially, and then to bring those kind of cultural elements together in a story that's all about just being able to be a multifaceted person and like you're able to have certain things be a part of who you are.
Yeah.
Um, and so you saw those storylines with even like Wei Chen and his father as well too, and having their own journey of whatever they need to find. I can't remember what the plot was for that, but yeah, it was very like they were like
Mm.
trying to defeat the bad guy, and then
Yeah.
having Jin come in to help them on their journey as well too. But like they were helping each other out on their own journeys,
Hmm.
and so it was nice to see just kind of that cultural like not clash, but yeah, just kind of like that those sides being integrated together in this story um was just so nice to see.
Right. Absolutely. And I think they were looking for the fourth scroll in American
Well,
Born
that's
Chinese. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we find out that Jin is a fourth scroll, which is dope as heck. But unfortunately, when he gets home from the soccer game, he figures out his parents are missing. Because there is a lady waiting for him. And she's like, I mean, she's trying to figure out, like, what's so special about you? And I love that it's like Poppy Lou? Poppy Lee? I don't know how to say her last name.
actress's name or the character's name?
The actress's name because I
Oh, I don't
recognized her. I was like, oh my gosh, I know her. She's from Dead Ringers.
Poppy.
Poppy,
Oh, yep, yep, yep.
yeah. I thought,
Another thing too I liked was the parents. Yeah, that's another
yes.
one. Jin's parents as well too. I like their storyline as well too, and then
Mm-hmm.
being able to also, yeah, there's like I think just a lot of overarching themes that you saw through these storylines of just being able to stand up for yourself
Yeah.
and be able to be proud of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and don't also like don't be afraid to, yeah, like know your own worth and, yeah, stick up for yourself. And I think with the father especially being able to in the workplace advocate for himself, like
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I struggle with that as well too. I know a lot of my Asian American like coworkers and counterparts, like anywhere too. It's always hard because you're always taught also to just be humble. I've
Yeah.
always like throughout my life being be humble, like don't brag about yourself. Like you look arrogant, you look obnoxious, but then it's not that per se. It's like being able to be confident in yourself and know your worth, and because of that, be like, I deserve this pay. I deserve to get promoted because of this, and not kind of just let life happen.
Yes.
And expect, because in a way too, I also like learned growing up that like let your work speak for itself, because that's where the dad was coming from too.
Yeah.
Is like, I'm a hard worker. Why can't they just see my actions? Like actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a very, it could be in a way can also be a very Eastern like mind like mindset as well too. But like he's assimilated into America and
Mm-hmm.
learning that, okay, these are the dynamics that he has to navigate in order to get what he wants as well too. So
Yeah.
um it was nice like seeing that the father go through that journey, and then even the mom too, and like the mom trying to force, not force, but like encourage her husband
Yes.
to be a better man, be a better, person that even their son could be proud of as well too.
Mm-hmm.
um it was great, and then kind of them finding like their way back to each other too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth girl being the son was very kind of put the cherry on top of that whole metaphor.
Yeah. I love seeing the father storyline, especially because you're right. I have noticed this a lot because I am a first generation um, kid. Like my parents are from Haiti and they came to America in the 80s, and all my siblings were born here in America. And one thing that I have noticed, especially, is that like, you know, the mindset of like work hard, keep your head down. They'll notice your effort. Like they'll notice how much you give. Don't try and like cause too much of a commotion. Don't try to draw attention to yourself. Just like, study, work hard, get your degree, get a job. That's it. Like that's all you need to do. And for me, like I ended up dropping out of school, and because like school is just not my thing, and for the most part, I've been trying to learn how to speak up and be myself and like verbalize how I'm feeling, because just keeping your head down and keep it quiet doesn't work in the real world. You have to tell people what you're about. You have to show them, but also tell them. Because even if you show up every day, people just like take that for granted. You know what I mean? Like people will see you show up, give your all, and they'll appreciate it. But like when it comes time for like any kind of recognition, any kind of promotion, they
Yeah,
pass you up for somebody else. And at that point, it's like, well, you just expect me to be here forever, you
yeah,
know? And I feel like a lot of immigrants that come to this country, they're just like, listen, we're just looking to be here. So you should be happy with what you have. And I'm glad that like in the story, the mom is like encouraging her husband and like kind of pushing him to like, come outside of yourself and like, speak up a little bit more. Like you deserve this promotion. You deserve to like be head of the district, or whatever was the role that she was trying to push him to get. Like
yeah,
this is yours. Like you're more than qualified for how long you've been there and how you were smarter than all these other people. Like there's no reason that you should be passed up for this.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah. And I love that she like also went out and decided to like become a business owner, because it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, make that money, be an entrepreneur.
yeah.
Yes,
Another
exactly.
opportunity, and she took it.
Yes, exactly. We love to see it. We love that, and I do wish that the show got a second season.
I
Like,
know. The more I'm talking about this, the more I'm like, damn, should have got a second season. Like it
yes.
built upon all those things that we loved about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
these, yeah, but
Especially because you compared it to Percy Jackson, and now I'm thinking like Percy Jackson, that show, they read up the marketing budget for that show for the moment it was announced. Like the show wasn't even streaming yet, and they had interviews, they had press, they had
mhm.
everything for that show. And American Born Chinese, I feel like with the cast that it had, because like I think the girl who led the protest, she was also in Turning Red. So
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
already like a good actress. Like imagine like you
yeah,
have the lead of your show, American Born Chinese season 2, and he is also going to be the lead in the Karate Kid movie. Like, look at how
yeah.
that
That
sets
was,
you up.
they weren't thinking long term.
No, no, they weren't.
They never do with these shows.
And that's so annoying because it's not enough that you already have Michelle Yeoh and like all her other like phenomenal like co-leads and everything
Yeah,
everywhere all at once. Like an Oscar winning film. Like, is that not enough for you? What more could you want?
yeah. Like Disney, you had all of them there already.
You never know what you have until it's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a shame. But you know, one show that I did enjoy was The Brother Son. Um, season 2 has not been announced yet, but we're hoping that it is fairly soon.
Oh my god. I know. Now that we just talked about how like American Origin Chinese got canceled, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to like just start praying for season 2 for fingers crossed, everyone.
I mean, it just came out, so like, I don't think they're gonna, you know, we have to wait and see because Netflix loves to like play around with the
I know.
cancellations and the renewals.
I know. I really hope that. I mean, I would say though with the brother son that there has gotten a lot more. There's a lot more marketing push, and a lot of the marketing push, and I feel like I may or may not have talked about it too, where it's like it comes from inside the house. Like
Yeah.
that's why everything everywhere all at once was so successful because I mean, yeah, A24 helped, but like I
Mm.
think the cast was so proud of what they did
Hmm.
that they themselves took it upon themselves to proactively put it out on their social medias, get the word out, this and that. So I think I'm seeing that a lot with the brother son as well too, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of the, especially since it's set in Los Angeles, the 626 area, which is a predominantly Chinese American community that
Hmm.
that is there. So the fact that they kind of rally the community as well to put them on the map too with the show. Of course, that they're going to be proud. Like the community is going to be proud that a show that's about their community is out there for the world to see. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that with the more grassroots kind of like word of mouth marketing
Hmm.
with the brother son, that maybe there got a lot more people are going to watch it, and that will prompt Netflix to get a season 2. So
Yes.
the goal.
Yes. Um, I just wanted to know what your thoughts were for The Brother's Son. Like when you first watched it,
Yeah.
what did you think?
Oh wow. I mean, right off the bat, even just I think watching, I didn't want to watch a lot of interviews or like I watched one trailer, but I wanted to kind of go in with fresh eyes and just just clean slate. And then I mean, right off the poster too, I knew it was going to be a crime drama. There's going to be a family drama, so I love all of those things. And Michelle Yeoh looked like she's the matriarch, so even better. Um, I do. I binged this one obviously because it's Netflix, but I do wish I had spent more time with the show instead of binging it in one night, or 2 nights, I should say. But I loved it. I love a good action drama. The action in the show was also top notch. Um, I love the family dynamic with the two brothers and Michelle Yeoh, the mom. Um, there was still some good comedy interwoven with the family drama, with the action, and so I like there was a beautiful blend of all three of those. But yeah, it was great. It's what a great way to start, I think, 2024 with the brother's son.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I'm actually going to be very honest because when I suggested the show, I like saw the trailer for it, and of course, like I'm a huge Michelle Yeoh fan. So anything she's in, I'm
Mhm.
gonna watch it.
Yeah,
I first started watching the show, and I was like, okay, love the opening because the opening is literally like Charles in his very nice house,
yep,
watching Great British Break Off, like baking because he loves to do that, and then the assailants come in, and I love that like it's almost silent, and all you hear is like the show, and I'm like, this is an
yes,
opening. This is an opening, okay? This is how you draw people in, okay? This is how you do it.
Mhm.
And I was definitely intrigued. The story with him and the, crime unit family, I'm like, absolutely love it. Love the triads. Always love that storyline. Always down for it. And then, the son who's like forced to like be in this role, be trained to be an assassin, and the son who was like kind of like soft, Americanized and like kind of able to like go to school, become a doctor, and hope like either follow his mother's footsteps of like what his mom wants for him, or like follow his footsteps of like doing improv, which I feel like is
Yeah.
very funny because like when he says I want to do improv, I'm like, this is very Los Angeles. Like, yes. He mentioned like
Oh, of
the
course, I want to be an actor.
Of course you do. Of course you do. And then he's like talking about like the troop that he wants to join, the groundlings, and I'm like,
Yes.
please.
Of course, you want to be part of the groundling.
If y'all say
Reach
you
for the
see,
stars, Bruce. Reach for the stars.
oh my god, he could have said the groundlings, he could have said UCB. I would have been like, please, 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 please. It was so funny to me, and I was watching the show, and I don't know what it was, but I have fallen into this very bad habit because I watch so much TV now. I've been trying to get into books so I could like fix this habit, but I lose interest in shows. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, it's so weird, but I think it was a point where like Eileen, is that her? My mom's name is Eileen, right?
Say it again.
Eileen, that's the mom's name.
Yes, Eileen. Yeah.
Eileen, yeah. It's when she goes to visit the guy, and she gets taken to like it's the triads, and there's this dude talking to her as she's sitting down, and he's like explaining to her like how the world works. I'm sitting here like, don't be condescending to her. She knows how this works. Like she knows how things run around here. It was at that point I was watching this, and I was like, what if I watch something else? And I was like, my brain completely shifted. But
Yeah.
the show, like overall, I I guess I was like so enamored by like the action in the show.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's what kept me going in the show,
Yeah.
especially with like the scene when him and like Charles and Bruce went to the guy's house and he's having like a birthday party for his daughter,
Oh, yeah.
and the assassins come in like the dinosaur costumes, and
Yes.
like Bruce is doing whatever he can not to die because he
Yep.
cannot fight. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm right with you, Bruce. I'm right with you. Like, y'all bringing out the knives, I'm running. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Okay. And then Charles is like looking at him like, this is so annoying. Like, I have to save this kid's life, and I have to fight these people in dinosaur costumes, and I didn't even get to do what I came here to do because these people came to kill us.
Yeah.
And you could just tell he's getting like increasingly annoyed, and Bruce is just like, so, what's next? Like, what are you doing next? Like, what are you doing tomorrow? Can I come along? Can I tag along? Please, please. It's
Or just he's just so like, out of his element. Because
yes.
he's just like, I just found out that all my entire family are killers
Yep.
and are like part of this this gang, this triad, and I don't know what's happening. But yeah, there's like it's kind of similar to like American Born Chinese, whereas like, Bruce is in the situation of like I'm just trying to live my life. I'm trying to survive.
Yes,
I want to do improv every once in a while.
Exactly.
And now I'm being thrusted into this world that I didn't ask to be in, only to realize that and then he starts finding out like what his mother like had to go through and the lengths that she had to go through to keep him safe and give him that life that he has right now. So, yeah, I like that dynamic as well too, and that level of drama.
I relate so heavily to Bruce because he is like meeting his family for the first time, and like everyone is speaking a language in front of him that he does not understand. And I'm the same way because I'm Haitian, and my family knows to speak like Creole and French, and like me, I have a very basic understanding. So when they start speaking it in front of me, I'm just like,
What's happening?
I wish I knew what y'all were saying.
Yeah.
And then like, look at her say that American. I'm like, okay, I understood that. That's funny. Like I had to laugh alongside with them, and I'm like, that hurt. You hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It's also funny because like Bruce is sent in to like get the message from the guy in the bathhouse, and I'm like, he doesn't know. He won't know.
Yeah, he's full on speaking, like is it full on Mandarin, I believe. Yeah. And then he's all like, I'm trying to pick out. Yeah, he's picking out words, and he's not. It's not the same words.
No.
But it's words that he knows.
It's funny because like, basically, like of course because he on the screen like the words he understands and like the words that the guy's actually saying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're doomed. They're done for. It's over. Y'all better wrap it up right now. And I'm thinking in my head, maybe Charles can come back and like translate, and then the guy dies, and I'm like, oops, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind, run, Bruce. Don't die. Don't die.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love the show because the action sequences are done so well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're fighting the dinosaurs, they're in the club,
Yeah.
and the explosion goes off. They're like in the bathhouse. I was sitting here like, oh my gosh. In the back of my head, I'm like, is anyone gonna be naked? I'm like, no, they're not gonna do that. Like, I know it's Netflix, but like, no.
Even the golf course or like the driving range
Yes.
scene, that was very, yeah. I think that one also was well done, especially with the camera work
Oh yeah.
for that one in particular. Um, yeah, I think yeah the action was so well done. I think I recognize some of the I think I believe it's in the later episodes where I think the fathers like gangsters came in, and then the two actors are familiar. Like I've seen them fight in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it was nice that like a lot of them are kind of follow each other in these
Right.
projects. So it's nice to like see like all of them like um fighting as well in this too. But
Yeah. I think
and then yeah
sorry, just real quick. I think what
yeah
I really loved about the fight scenes was that um when it comes to a show like this, or any show with like a lot of like with fighting and like violence, if it's done where people want like the fighting and the violence to be like for shock value, sometimes it doesn't like benefit the plot, so to speak.
yes
Like for me
mm-hmm.
personally, I love The Boys. I think it's a really good show, but I feel like season three they kind of lead in a little too heavily with like the violence and like all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like that one episode they're trying to hype up where it's like, oh, this is gonna be the most explicit episode you guys have ever seen from
Oh the
us, and I'm
hero gasm.
yeah, hero gasm, and I was sitting here like that can't be possible because the first episode y'all had somebody run through a girl, y'all had somebody run through a woman, like I
Even like
don't believe
even the
you.
premiere, the season 3 premiere. Remember that whole scene when um
The Ant-Man scene, terrible, absolutely banal.
I was just like just it was like I think I watched it like late at night too,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not expecting it. So I'm just like watching it, and all of a sudden it happens, and I'm like I just scream. Like,
I was watching it. I'm like, I know y'all are not about to. In the back of my head, I'm like, girl, let's be so for real.
I
So
was so scared. Like the moment that he went down and then went, I was like, oh no, oh no, I already know what
absolutely
this is
not.
gonna go.
Get out of there. Get out of
Get
there right
out.
now.
Nope,
Get out
he
of
did.
there.
He got out a different way.
Not the way I wanted him to.
Yeah,
Terrible. Awful. But like there are those like shows and those films like they'll introduce fighting and like violence and
yeah,
they'll just like add it in because they feel like if we add violence it's gonna shock the audience and like it's gonna make it more adult and they feel like they add something to the film. But if it
yeah,
doesn't add anything to the story and if it's not relevant, then it's useless, it's pointless, and I don't want it there. And
yeah,
with the brother son, the fight scenes make sense. You know,
yeah.
they're well choreographed. They're placed in the times of the story where it makes sense that they will be fighting, and
Mhm.
it's not over the top. It's smart. It's very well done, and I feel like the guy who plays Charles, honestly, hats off to him for the
Mhm.
amount of scenes he had to do because he fights and he fights well in every single one of them. Also,
Yeah.
to like the guy who plays Blood Boots, I don't have
Yes.
the actor's name. He's very good, and also Jenny Yang. I noticed her when
Yeah.
I saw her on screen. I was like, "Is that no?"
Especially since she was able she was the one to fight. Sorry, spoiler alert, but like because like I was like for a while I was kind of like, are we not getting a Michelle Yeoh fight scene in this
Hmm.
show? So I
Yeah,
was like, oh, okay, she just wants to act. I mean, she can act,
of
but I
course.
was expecting some okay. And then that happened, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, and then it
Yes,
was yeah, Jenny Yang was the one to take her on, and I was like, ooh,
yes. I 100% want to hear like the conversation between the two of them of how that was choreographed. Like I have to know how they choreograph these fights because they're so well done and the camera work is amazing. Because a lot of times when you're watching a fight scene, the camera work is terrible. It's choppy and you can't like
yeah,
follow the flow of the fight. And it's obvious that whoever's in the editing room does not know what they're doing. But everything about
yeah,
the story, from like the actual story, the fights, the choreograph of the fights, the camera work, the editing, and putting it all together makes a cohesive story. And that's what I love the most about this show. Is just how it all like
Mhm.
comes together and blends together. And of course, the at the helm of the show, you have like two people that have already done television before. You have Brad Folchuk and then Brian Wu, who
Yeah.
already like experienced in their own right, and for them to like kind of come together and make this show that
Oh yeah.
is honestly quite different from, I would say different from what is on Netflix, because Netflix does have like family shows with like fight sequences and stuff like that, but I feel like this show is completely unique in its own right because it has comedy, it has action, it has the
Mhm.
crime, it has the drama,
Yeah.
and they put it all together in like a nice balance. Like it feels balanced. Like everything feels cohesive. Like it feels like a story, and I love
Mhm.
that about it so much.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you too. Um, no, yeah, I think I lost my train of thought, but I agree with all of the above, and
Mm-hmm.
if you relate to Bruce more, I think I relate to Charles a lot as well too, being an older like eldest like sibling and like just eldest like grandchild, like just being like older, the oldest person out of all the siblings that you have or just like cousins that you have, and just feeling that burden of like needing to protect. He keeps saying protect the family. I That's my purpose in life, is to protect the family, and
Right.
I'm going to succeed my father at some point to take over this triad. Like it's his life was planned out from the moment he was born,
Mm-hmm.
and not having like never having to think for himself in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he like came from Taiwan to America and realized that like the American dream, or like even the possibilities of living somewhere that like outside of your home country, and it's like it's scary, but at the same time it's like he found a lot of thrill in like, oh wow, like this is what could have been. I could be a baker here.
Yeah.
I don't need to fight. I don't need to kill anyone.
No. Live a nice
So
quiet life.
yeah, and so it's cool to see that like the contrast of like those two brothers, like they're bonded by blood, but then they lived such different lives, and like their lives diverged at that moment that they had to, that it's kind of like a parent trap thing. Like the mom took Bruce, and then the dad kept Charles, and so it's kind of what would have been like if those brothers stayed with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Would they have been different from who they are now? So it's nice to see the brotherhood and their relationship evolve throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely agree. I feel like the brotherhood in the show is, I like that. I really did love seeing them like bond together because I feel like that does happen in some families with like one kid still like lives in their home country and another kid lives in America. And I know like in my experience, I've known families that have had that kind of struggle because sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
can't bring everybody to America. Sometimes you can only bring one kid, or
Mm-hmm.
like maybe just the kids and not like all the parents. Like one parent has to stay in the home country, so it's not something that is that far from reality when it comes to immigrant families. And it can be hard when it comes to those family dynamics. Like there is the kid that got it a little easier from the parents, and then there's the kid that like because they're the firstborn, the parents are a little more rough on you. They're a little more like strict on you, and I know that feeling because I'm like the second eldest daughter, and
Okay.
I like seeing my like younger siblings like kind of get the easier, you know, route with my parents. It's like, oh, that was an option. Why did I have that option?
Yeah.
Like y'all tried it first on me and my older sister, and then like my younger siblings are like, oh, we'll go a little easier on you. You know, like you can hang out with your friends. You know, you can have like a cell phone in high school if you want. It's like, why do I have to wait to college to get my cell phone? What's that about? You know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that's another thing that I really enjoyed about the show. And I also did love seeing the comedy being intermixed with the action
Yes.
because they were not scared to just like have some fun with the fight scenes. Like they're
Oh,
not scared to just like, you know, be a little silly goofy. Like I like particularly love, but I can't help but laugh when you see like Charles in like serious ninja mode, like kicking ass, taking names, and then Bruce just doing his very best. Like,
yeah.
don't touch me, don't hurt me, don't look at me. I'm not here. Like, please ignore me. Like, it's something that I enjoy throughout the show, and I I think that like near the end of the show, also I'm gonna say I'm not surprised that Grace was like not who she said she was, because like
Oh yeah.
y'all
I
just
was kind of sad. Yeah.
y'all just introduced this girl and she's like hanging out with them, and I'm like, don't trust this girl. You don't know her.
It was going down that path, and I was like just
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the ball to drop
Yeah.
on Grace.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize she was like running the whole operation. I was kind of like, oh wow, okay,
If you're running things, then why are you
okay,
at school? Don't you have things to
yeah.
do?
She really full on when she went full like undercover.
Yes. Yes, she did. I was asking
Yeah.
myself that question. I was like, if you're running things, then why are you in class? Why are you hanging out with this guy? Like, what's going on here, girl? But
What about what are your thoughts on Alexis?
you have to remind me. Alexis is the prosecutor, right?
Yeah, the DA
Yeah,
DDA. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like I like her character. Um, if I'm not gonna lie. This happens a lot of times in shows where like there is the character who has to deal with the conflict, and they know how things are usually dealt with. And they understand like the stakes, and then there's the other
Mhm.
character you want to introduce that's like, let's do things the right way. Let's go to the police. It's like, no, 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 no. Hold on, girl.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What's wrong with you? It's like the
Yeah,
police. That's not how we handle things here. Okay,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
I did like her. I feel like a lot of actors in the show, they felt like newer actors, or maybe like, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that. I don't know how to say this nicely, but like a lot of times when I was watching this show, I was like watching and I'm like, is this their first gig, or like have they done this
Mm-hmm.
before? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I felt
Yeah.
with Alexis. I was looking at her, I'm
Okay.
like, has she done this before? Like, and I also felt the same way with the guy who plays Charles, because I'm like, he's a great fighter, but like some of this dialogue, it feels like it's not working. I guess when it comes
Yeah.
out of his mouth, you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I definitely get where you're coming from with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, more power to them. This is their first like starring role, and
Yeah.
if anything, they can only go up from here. So I think
Yes.
I really do hope that if they do get a season 2, that everything will be like they're able to build upon what they started,
Mm-hmm.
their performances in this first season. Um, but yeah, Alexis as a character, like I had a feeling she was shady.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she would kind of turn around and like come, and be like, oh yeah, never mind. I I realize that this is not the life for me, but at
Oh
the same time,
no.
I'm glad that she kept on that path. Like you do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You are you are part of this justice system, so
Yeah.
it's hard to get into that. So I get it, but they were cute. They had a little cute moment for
Mm-hmm.
like a two, and then they had to, of course, go their separate ways. But
I always find it interesting when they have like, I guess the anti-hero kind of
yeah,
character who's Charles. They
mm-hmm.
always give them a romantic interest to be like, hey, look, they're violent, they fight,
Oh yeah,
they kill, but they're also a lover. Okay? There is some goodness in that heart. And also he bakes, so he's not all the way bad, guys. So, just like, you know,
oh, so he's everything I ever want.
oh my
So you're saying
god.
I can have it all?
Mar. Please. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Alexis, I was like, because like their whole thing is that they were friends since childhood, and they
Oh
knew each
yeah,
other from childhood. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, if I was reunited with someone from my childhood, I don't think I would be that, I don't know, connected to them. Or I feel like that much of a kinship. Like, oh, we knew each other from childhood. That's so cool. And, like, we hug, we like talk. But like, homegirl was like down bad from the time she saw him, and they reunited. I was like, dang, girl, what's going on in your life?
oh, blew up. You glowed up.
Like, girl, is Tinder not working? Like,
I guess
Hinge,
not.
Hinge must be
There's
dry.
in LA. Hey, LA is not.
It's not
There's
hidden.
there's a lot of different characters in LA, so I get it.
Listen,
I get it.
Atlanta too. Okay, I can't even
Okay.
tell you. Okay, I feel like when she was like just down bad from the moment she saw him, I was like, girl, don't you know his family? Obviously, you've heard
Yeah,
the
well, yeah,
rumors.
that's true. Does she
Yeah.
know that he's involved in all this?
She's like, I don't care. He's dangerous. It's like,
He's
okay.
mysterious. He has a
Mm,
sensitive side too.
mm. Yes,
He has
very
a nice body, I
mysterious.
guess. From all the fighting and killing he's been doing.
The perfect cardio.
There we go.
The perfect cardio.
There we go.
Mm.
The full
So,
package right there.
I mean, you know he has money because
And he's rich.
there's no question that he is. There's no
There
question.
we go. There we go.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know why she chose that life when she could have had that.
I mean, honestly, yes. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Um, hmm. I was about to transition to something else, but I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
That's totally
So,
fine.
oh my gosh. Let's see. I did find it interesting, I guess, like, of course, the differences between the two shows. Because, like, American Born Chinese is obviously, like, a fantastical action comedy show. And The Brother Sun is, like, kind of like an action comedy, but also, like, a crime drama in the same sense. Um, One thing that was fairly different about the two shows, of course, is, like, the family relationships. Because Michelle Yeoh's character in The Brother Sun, she
Mhm.
sees Bruce. I feel like she still, like, infantilizes Bruce in a way, you
Mm,
know what I mean? Because he
yeah.
is the youngest son,
Mhm.
and he is like the one that she like is kind of protecting, from the triads and like
Yeah.
being part of like the family crime network, almost. And she looks at him as like she infantilizes him, and of course that just like pushes him to like want to be a part of everything a little bit more, I
Yeah.
guess. So I was just thinking, like, would if if there was a season two, I'm curious to see like what do you think would happen in the season two for the brother son? Because I do want to see like what would it be like when Eileen kind of steps into the leading role
Yeah.
for their like family crime network. What that would look like.
Yeah, I think so. I think the end of season one built up, like was it like the way it ended is was a good it would be a good opportunity if they were to get season two. They can build upon those stories that they kind of started at the end.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see Charles and Eileen like finally get to hang out and finally get to work together after all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe be having Bruce kind of live on his own for once, and then just being able to be like, what does that independence look like for him?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And then I think at some point they gotta come back. The gang gotta come back together. Whether it's maybe in Taiwan or maybe they just go back to Taiwan. So it's Bruce going to Taiwan and seeing that cultural difference, since he's only really known being Chinese in or sorry
Mm-hmm.
Taiwanese in America. So to kind of go back to the homeland would be a very interesting kind of like fish out of water experience in that regard.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I think that could be, or it could be completely different if we ever get season two. But I think that would be interesting to see where those characters will go or how to challenge them in the next season. Um, yeah, I think I also love. Speaking of which, Eileen's also character arc in this story as well too. Even like when she goes back to Taiwan, I think that episode was very powerful for me. I
Mm-hmm.
think just seeing her kind of soak up or just take back in like what she like all the years she's lost being in America,
Yeah.
kind of coming back to this place that once was called home for her. And then yeah, it was really and then her kind of like, seeing her relationship with her husband as well too, and how it was very, even though it seemed like it was solid, but like it just seemed like it was like there's still cracks within that.
Mm-hmm.
um and like that her having that conflict of I wanted something more for myself too, and not just be a part of my husband's thing, which is just this triad. I was just wanting, and we're just not even that, just wanting to like have some independence within this world too. So it was nice to have Eileen have that moment and seeing her kind of not wanting to be just a housewife or just a mother, but then
Right.
um even when she told Bruce too, which felt really cathartic, being like, why does everyone want something from me and no one ever asks me what I want
Mm-hmm.
out of this? um was great. Michelle Yeoh acting.
Yes. Acting down, of course,
Acting
as she
down.
always does.
Mhm.
I also, the one thing I did love about her character the most was like, Charles fully was like, look, mom, I got this, you know, like trying to be the big man on campus. And she's like,
Mhm.
this is my playground.
Yeah, yeah.
I live here. I know how things run around here, okay? Don't tell me to
Yes.
set nothing up,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Going to the aunties for mahjong and like going to the guy's restaurant. When she went to the guy's restaurant, I was like, I saw a cockroach. I was like, girl, see, now I know what she's doing. I see
Yep.
it.
Yep.
That was so funny. I was just like, wow. Game recognizes game. Because right
Yeah.
there, the easiest way to get the owner's attention. All right?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I like that kind of, yeah, like, that dynamic as well too, with Charles just trying to figure out like, I'm gonna do it my own way.
Mm-hmm.
But then yeah, like Eileen being like, no, like this is how things run in Los
Yes.
Angeles in the 626. Um yeah, those were great. And yeah, they have those lot of those moments were very funny as well too. Yeah, with
Mm-hmm.
the Asian aunties. And even like the when Bruce figured out how to like get themselves out of that situation by bringing in those aunties as well too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, like that was genius. No one's gonna want to kill a bunch of aunties.
Listen, she just sees she's always two steps ahead. All right,
Yeah.
y'all can't stop her. All right, I absolutely. This is another thing that I did love about the show because one thing that I have noticed, like I said before, when like I guess usually like it's white creators and they'll want to like add in like you know non-white actors or
Yeah.
like characters into their shows or in their movies. Even some of the dialogue that they give them is like jilted and weird, you know? Like, I think one example for me in my head is Girls, because in that
Yeah.
show, they never had like any character of color that was in the show for more than 3 episodes. There's always guest stars, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I've never watched Girls. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I just never watched Girls.
Oh, I honestly like when I started watching Girls, it was kind of like, oh, people are recommending this to me because I like Veep and I like
Um,
other shows that are similar to it.
yeah.
And so I started watching it and I was like, this has to be a joke. People like this? Like, y'all enjoy this? How? And also to find out Lena Dunham pitched this show without like a title, an idea, a plot, it got like a full first season like green light from HBO. Y'all are pissing me off. Anyways, but like when I first started watching Girls, another reason why I watch Girls is because like Jessica Williams and like Donald Glover, they're also on the show. So it's like
Oh
I
yeah.
want to watch their episodes. And the
Oh,
dialogue that they wrote for them is similar to the dialogue of the other characters. So it's like this is not how black people talk. Like also Donald Glover's character in the show was like a Republican. Like he was like a black Republican. And it was supposed to be
interesting.
like commentary and I was I was just watching it, I was like this is so bad, you know. But the great thing about the brother son is like obviously the people who are creating the show, directing the show, producing the show, running the show, writing the show understand the characters and the culture that reside within this world. And
Mm.
so there are little nuances, there are little snips, like the
Yeah.
aunties, the mahjong, the
Yeah.
restaurant scenes, like everything, like from the tip to the bottom. It all references something that is familiar with them. It's something they understand, something that they live with. And
Mhm.
it's not even something that's just synonymous or just like something that can only be related to for people who are within that community, but like
Yeah.
any immigrant child can relate
Yeah.
to it. Like you and I are fully like bringing up dynamics in that show that like we relate to and that we
Yeah.
see. You know, like whenever Michelle Yeoh was like talking about like how she just wants her son to do anything but be part of the triad. I was sitting there and I was like, that's so funny because I remember when I brought up to my mom that I wanted to like try the army and she was like, no, absolutely not. That was like, oh, Okay. In my head, I'm like, why is that? But like, I now know why because like American imperialism within Haiti
Mhm.
is like such a big reason as to why Haiti is like so poor and like suffers, and why Haiti has no like real like um any kind of like political structure because like
Oh,
literally Haiti last in I think it was 2022. Yeah, their president of Haiti was assassinated, and like it's
mm,
like if you could do that, then like what's going on in your country? Like the political
yeah,
turmoil is crazy in this country, and it's because of like U.S., Canadian, and French interference, colonialism, imperialism has like completely like destroyed the structure and the infrastructure within this country for it to run like an actual country, and that's why
yeah,
gangs keep like taking over. Like that's a huge problem in the country. Like that's why I understand why, because like to even like be a part of the army in any small sense, you're still kind of like part of the full army military complex within the US that is like a whole
yeah,
nother thing, a whole nother topic. Yeah.
yeah,
So whenever when Eileen was talking to Bruce and she's like, listen, you can do improv, you could become a doctor. You will not be a part of the triads. I was like, you know what, Bruce? You gotta listen to your mama.
yeah,
You gotta listen to your mama. She knows
yeah.
what she's talking about.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. Are there any other like last things or like anything else you like to say about like their brother son? I guess American born Chinese.
I'm trying to think. I just love how like these two shows, within like the span of a year, one has both Michelle Yeoh in it, which is great, but two are able to kind of talk about like similar themes of self identity, culture identity,
Right.
um, how assimilation has like within at least our community have shaped how we view our own cultures, but also how we fit in a country that doesn't look predominantly like us. And yeah, I think those shows are, I think, and well, also to our earlier points too, like creating fully realized, multifaceted like characters, because that's how humans are. That's how we be. Is just like, yeah, like we're not just a stock character. We're not like just one thing. We're not existing. We don't exist to serve another person
Yeah.
and their story. So it's nice to kind of, yeah, see those fully realized characters kind of just in their natural habitat, in their
Mm-hmm.
own like communities, and like just existing, and while also having those fantasy elements, or like just this like high intensity like action like situations as well too. So it's a cool blend of like just our character, like these characters living in these like genres and still telling a compelling story. And American Born Chinese and The Brother Sun definitely did that for when I
Yeah.
watched those.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I also like seeing shows with new actors. You
Yes.
know, because they love to pull out the same people out the
Yeah.
hat all the time. It's like, girl, we need
Yeah.
somebody else. Y'all
Yeah.
can shake it up every once in a while. So
Mhm.
I'm very very glad that this show on Netflix, no doubt, has like new people on like a huge platform, and also like I feel like it's likely that the show will get a season two, just because the showrunners for the show themselves have so many like successful titles under their belt.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
and this is a really great debut. I feel like they had a really strong debut for like a new show, and it's like it was the
Yeah.
first new release on Netflix, so I have nothing but like positive things to say from here on out, and I'm really 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 excited to see what's next.
Yeah.
Really wish we were getting American Born Chinese, because I feel like if they did an American Born Chinese promo alongside like Percy Jackson, that would have been fun, but you know you have to
It
live.
has.
You have to, let it go. You
Hmm.
have to learn to move on, and that's okay. That's all right. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed this discussion about American Born Chinese and the Brother Son. Highly, highly, highly recommend you check out American Born Chinese. It's streaming on Disney Plus, and watch the Brother Son currently streaming on Netflix. Season 1 is out right now, and super excited for season 2, and like cross my fingers for the season 2 announcement to come out soon. To end the show, I just wanted to do like recommendations. If there are any like movies or TV shows that you've been watching recently that you'd like to recommend to the
Okay.
listeners. There's one recommendation that I do have. Well, there's a few, but the first one is Criminal Record. It's a show I've been
Oh,
watching on Apple
yeah.
TV. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't
Okay.
watched it yet. I've been trying to like hear from different people of like what their thoughts are on Criminal Record. But yeah, what are your thoughts on?
It's very good, I have to
Okay.
say, because um, when the show was like, I didn't know any like promotion in regards to the show, but I saw like interview for Peter Capaldi did on TikTok because like, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan.
Okay.
So if any of the Doctor Who actors are in anything, of course I'm gonna watch it. And so I saw an interview that he did, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I looked up the show, and the first 3 episodes are dropped, and all the episodes are releasing like weekly. And I think there are 8 episodes in the show, so I think that episode 7 it'll be out by the time this episode comes out, but it comes out on the 14th essentially. And the show
Okay.
follows. Okay, I want to tell this. I want to try explain this in like a clean, concise way, because the show is a little like the plot is a little complex. But essentially, how the show starts, there is a woman. She's a police officer, and she gets like conferenced into a call by a young woman who is trying to run away from her abusive boyfriend. And her abusive boyfriend keeps taunting her, being like, you can't leave me. I've stabbed people, I've killed people before. There's a man in jail for a woman that I've killed, blah, blah, blah. And the police officer is like listening in on this call because the 911 dispatcher phoned in, like, conference in the police officer to try and get like a cop car out to the woman on the phone. And the call ends and they try to like find that woman, the caller. But the police officer, she's like, the girlfriend said that her boyfriend killed somebody that someone else is in jail for, which means someone was wrongly convicted of a crime. So she looks at the case and she figures out that the guy, the I guess his name is DC Haggerty, which I don't know what that term really means in terms of like Britain police to like American police, but I'm guessing
Oh,
he's like a sergeant or something like that. He's like a lieutenant, and he was like the overseeing officer of that case, Earl Mattis, and she wants to look into the case, and she's not that high up on the ladder when it comes to police. She's kind of like, I'm guessing like not entry level, but she's there. She's a cop, and they're like, don't look
mm-hmm.
into this. This ain't your business. We don't need to be digging into that. He made his decision. Whatever this lady said on a phone call, like, why would you take her word for it? Like, the boyfriend was probably just threatening her because, like, he's abusive. And she
Yeah.
wants to, like, look into it more. And so DC Haggerty finds out about this. And so the show is essentially following her wanting to look into the Errol Mattis case and figure out what's going on. Is Earl Mattis really guilty? What did they do? Did they like pin a crime on him because it was easy to? Like, what are the implications of this? There are a lot of implications of race in the show as well, like race, policing,
Okay.
like, wrongful convictions. And the woman, she is light skinned. She's light skinned black, and her son is like light skinned as well. But I believe her husband that she has now is like her step husband, possibly, like a second husband. And one problem that I do have with the show is a small problem. This is annoying when this happens, but the husband seems to be someone who's like, I don't see color. Like
Okay.
I don't want my son growing up in the world thinking that everybody's against him because he's black, because then he's going to have it out for all white people. And I'm watching the show and I'm like, why is she with this man? Like, why is she with him? Like, this happens a lot when I'm watching shows, and like I see like the woman character is like set on something that is difficult, and she needs like her partner to back her or have her back, and the partner
Yeah.
is someone who's very like passive aggressive, laissez-faire, doesn't look at things that way, and like tries to like see things in a very like casual way where he's not really like confrontational in any kind of sense. And I'm like,
Okay.
how did you end up marrying this person?
Oh, I hate
Like,
that.
how did we get here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a very, very good show.
Okay.
I'm always into like procedurals, but this is definitely like
Yeah.
a different kind of procedural, and I think
Okay.
it has a lot of very interesting conversations within the show, and it's the first cop procedural about race that I've watched where it's set in the UK. And
Okay.
I find that very interesting because a lot of
Yeah.
times on Twitter, people in the UK love to be like, "Oh, well, you guys get shut up in your schools, you know, and like y'all have police officers shoot you," and I'm like, "Ha ha 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 ha!" But the racism, y'all started that, didn't you? Like I see it as there as well. It's across the pond. Don't try and bring that over here, okay? No, 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 no. Okay, y'all got Boris Johnson, all right? So don't try and play that in my face, like, you know. But it's a very good show. I highly recommend that you check it out if you, you know, like
Okay.
those kind of shows.
Yeah, I've been hearing some buzz about criminal records, so
Mm-hmm.
okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Keep it on the radar. I would say I just finished it, and I would say Mr. and Mrs. Smith would be a show that I recommend.
Ooh, I have to watch that.
Yeah. Um, so that one I was like, that's another one where I'm like, I think I hate that they just released all the episodes all at once.
Yeah.
It just would have benefited from a weekly release.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why. Like again, I don't know how streaming services pick and choose what they want to like drop all at once or what they want to do a weekly release of because Expats is a weekly release.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. and Mrs. Smith was like just all at once. Don't know the anyway. Besides the point, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is so good. I think along the lines of like just like just the crime drama, like the spy thriller kind of like realm. I think I've actually never I still haven't watched the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to this kind of like just
Blind.
not knowing what the story is going to be about.
Uh-huh.
And I've already heard a really great buzz with it. And so I'm glad that for me at least it was really good. It was very well done. I think it's a good commentary on just marriage, but using it through the lens of espionage and the espionage, the assassin world, and how both that profession and marriage are somehow like one and the same in that regard. Because you have partners who you work with, like in like whether you're in police or as a spy and all of that. So like that concept of partners and like having to trust someone without really knowing who they like fully are, but then trusting them with your life when it counts. So yeah, like those themes are like very much there. And then throughout the show, it's about like, a meditation on marriage. And you see people kind of both having to pretend to be married, but also they're still spy partners.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of just cameos from like guest stars left and right in they're only 8 episodes. And I think Maya Erskine and Don Glover are like at the top of their game with their acting too.
Maya Erskine is so good.
She's
I love her.
So good. She Pen 15. I finally watched Pen 15 last year.
Oh, such a good show.
It's such a good show.
Yes.
Blue Eye Samurai with her voice acting was really good. And so I was really excited to see her in this role too. And she is 3 for 3 for me right now. And I think both for them coming from comedy and doing more of a comedy drama, I think that was their benefit as well too, because there are funny moments and they have good timing in those moments. So it helped with their performances as well too. So that's another one, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Also, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think like I did start watching episode 1, but I haven't like really dived deep into the show. But the whole like storyline is essentially that within the world of the show, like I guess the spies and like the people they work for, they deploy these Mr. and Mrs. Smith agents essentially, where they have like a guy and a girl pretend to be husband and wife to spy on people. So it's like it's kind of like a tactic that they use almost. Okay.
So it's a tactic that this I forgot it's not an agency. I forgot what the big institution, their spy institution that they usually call it. That is their tactic, is like because no one really assumes. If it's just one person, you get more suspicious, but if there's just a couple, you're less suspicious of them. So it's that concept of like going under the radar for pretending to be a couple or married.
Yeah. I am definitely excited to watch it. A couple of my friends, I said this on a previous podcast, but a couple of my friends were a little hesitant to watch it because like, I think for Donald Glover fans, we know that like this is so stupid. I need to stop bringing this up. He likes like white and Asian girls. Like he has like, it's kind of like,
I think she's gonna say it. Oh, 1000%. I saw the discourse. I mean, when it went from Phoebe Waller-Bridge to I think Maya Erskine, that's when everyone was like, okay, yep,
Yeah, I
Donald,
do want to
Donald's living
ask
his
about
fantasy right
that
now.
because, like, I feel like him and Phoebe Waller-Bridge had such good chemistry, and like the interviews they did for
Oh, that's right. They're in Solo. No,
they're in
yeah,
Solo, yeah,
right, yeah,
yeah,
because yeah.
and I
Wow.
feel like they had really good chemistry with one another, and that she dropped out of the film, and I know like he did interview explaining that, so I need to like look that up and like figure out why, because I did want to see Phoebe Waller Bridge in like an action comedy, because I feel like that would have been cool, but Maya Erskine is still amazing,
From
and
what I've seen with Donald, what he said about it, and then
yeah,
it was just like a headline. I didn't read the full article, but I think they both are, they both have created their own shows. They've
yeah,
both been showrunners. So I think Donald was the first one to like, I want to do this. And then they brought on Phoebe, and I think they just had created differences from what it sounded like. I think that was the more diplomatic
mm,
response that he gave. So, but I can see that too, where it's like maybe she wanted something because she has written, I think, this first season of Killing Eve, so she knows how to also write spy thrillers and all of that too,
mm,
and have that dark comedy from Fleabag.
yeah,
Um, so maybe it was just like they had different visions for the show,
mm,
and that resulted maybe in Phoebe dropping out of it, which is fine. Like that happens.
yeah,
But I think Maya was a great replace. I don't want to even say replacement, but I feel
mm,
like now I can't see it's Maya and Donald now for me too. Like I
yeah,
just don't like I can't see Phoebe in this either too. So it's Maya is so good in this too.
yeah, and I do want to say like the whole thing. I don't feel like it's discourse with like who Donald likes to date or whatever. To me, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah,
People bring it up, but I honestly don't bring it up in any kind of seriousness.
yeah,
And
yeah.
at this point, it's like he has only acknowledged it in an interview he did, but it was
Mm-hmm.
time when he interviewed himself, and he was. Did you read that?
No, I haven't. But
No.
I've
Yeah.
heard that he's in an interview with himself. I don't know if I've like remember that. Okay,
Essentially, he
it
interviewed
just sounds
himself.
unserious if you're gonna interview yourself.
Completely
Yeah.
unserious. But he interviewed himself and he asked himself, like, why are you scared of black women? And he was like, I'm not. And he's like, well, why would you ask yourself that question? He's like, and he gave this like very convoluted answer of like, I'm not actually going to answer this question. I'm going to give you guys some background answer to not really answer it. It is just kind of like,
Yeah.
whatever. It's fine. It's whatever. We don't care.
Yeah.
And I feel like for Atlanta fans, I don't know if anyone listening remembers, but there is an
Mhm.
episode where Zazie Beetz went to a party at Drake's house. It was actually Drake's house. And this
Yeah.
girl saw this black guy and this black girl together, and the black girl got in the white girl's face and like started going off at her. And I was watching it and
Mm-mm.
I was like, this never happens. This never happens. This is no, you think this happens, but it's just the black guys who date white girls who thinks that black girls are judging you because you date white girls. We're not judging
Uh,
you. We don't care. It's only when you bring up black women and you're like, I like white girls because black women are loud and you guys are obnoxious and your hair is nappy and you guys always wear wigs and you guys are fake. It's like, don't bring us into your dating preferences. We
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
care. Please.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only that. It's like this whole convoluted thing of like a long history with Donald Glover being like
Uh,
a complete troll to his fans, you know. And now like Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming out, it's kind of like, you know, a whole other thing. But it's
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's never anything serious. It's like the most chronically online Donald Glover fan would know about this. If you are deep in his
But I just
lore,
remember I've seen. But I just know Childish Gambino
uh huh,
as yeah, like he's rapped about like Filipino girls and all that too. So I know like that side of
yeah,
stuff. Um, but yeah, I think it's just funny. Yeah, it's just an unserious like fun fact. But that's why like I'm sure that's why when it was announced that Maya Erskine was going to be his partner in the show, it's like yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you would
like,
want this.
yeah, we saw that coming. Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Great, great, great. Yeah. But I am excited to watch the show. I will be checking it out. When I have time, I will be giving it a watch. And I know it's going to be great because Donald Glover is a Renaissance man. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I do have another recommendation. This is a show that I actually watched the other day with my mom, and I just want to start watching it randomly. And it's called Lessons in Chemistry. And have you watched
I
this show?
yes.
Okay, I haven't
I
finished it. I want to
know.
say,
Yeah.
but it is a really good show, and I think I was just like surprised by how I was like charmed by the show almost. And I think that this show is so good just because like Brie Larson is like the perfect casting for
Yeah.
this character. And I was
Mm-hmm.
watching the show and I was like doing some research and I was like, I wonder if this is like a biopic or something. And for it to be based off a book, I think is really interesting. It makes me want to like buy the book. I want to read it.
Yeah. I thought it
But
was based on like a real person too.
yeah,
It felt like
it felt
it
real.
felt real. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like the show itself is very interesting. And for those who don't know, like Lessons in Chemistry is a show about this woman. She is a lab tech in the 50s, and she is like the only female lab tech in like the Hastings building, which is like a scientific organization, I think. And she's basically just trying to like do science stuff, and they don't want her to because sex discrimination. And she becomes close with this guy who is like heralded as like this genius in the Hastings building, and they get very close to each other. And the show follows her relationship with him, and then her becoming like a TV star and having her own cooking show where she talks about chemistry and cooking and like combines the two in this show that becomes like this instant hit. So the show kind of follows her life in regards to those 2 points in her life. And I think Brie Larson is a perfect casting for this because when Captain Marvel first came out, people were like talking about like her acting or like how she
Yeah.
seems so stoic or
And
how
then
she's
like didn't just win an Oscar.
yeah. Like as if she hasn't been acting for like most of her life. Like this is not her first job, y'all. Like she's been
Yeah.
around the block. She knows what she's doing.
Oh my
But
God.
people are talking about how like she doesn't seem to get along with her cast members, or she doesn't smile in interviews and like blah blah blah. And I think this show is perfect for her because her character is like very stoic, very to herself. And we figure out why she
Mhm.
is, and
Yeah.
to see her like
Yeah.
loosen up and get very close to like the very genius scientist in the show was very warm. And like I love the show so much. It's such a smart show. And
Right?
I also
Yeah.
love Asia Naomi King. I think she
Yes.
is so amazing. I've been waiting to see her in a project for
Dude,
so
I love her
long.
character.
I
Yeah.
love her character. I do wish that like there was maybe like a little bit more of her character because she is kind of like the best friend in the
Yeah.
show a little bit. She does have like her own thing that she is like, spearheading, which is making sure they don't build a railway through her neighborhood because,
Yeah.
they want to keep the neighborhood the way it is. You know what I mean? But overall, I enjoyed the show so much. And it was nominated for a Golden Globe
Yeah.
for Brie Larson for the show. And I think also for the actor. I need to figure out the actor's name because I've seen
Louis
him in other.
Pullman.
Who?
Louis Pullman. The
Lewis Pullman.
yeah.
This is the thing. There are these white actors that I've been seeing in all these shows and movies. They all look the same.
Yeah.
Like Lewis
That's a
Pullman, Lucas Hedges, that guy at Challengers, not the
oh 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 oh
not
oh
Mike, but the other dude,
Josh O'Connor.
Josh
Prince
O'Connor.
Charles. Prince Charles.
Yes, yes, yes. They all look alike, and I see them in
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes, but
They also are blurring as well. They're all actually one person. Actually.
yes. They all just like
But
separate.
Louis Pullman.
Yes.
Yes. They
Oh
again
my
my
god, he's so good
but
in this
Louis
show.
Pullman though is he's so good in it. Like he was in Top Gun Maverick. That's when I first saw him. He's a Nepo
Oh,
baby. His
okay.
father is Bill Pullman, I think, the actor.
Don't know who that is.
But he's so charming in Lessons in Chemistry.
He is.
I
When he
cried too many times. Too.
Oh my god.
That show got me. They got me emotional. That show.
Mm-hmm. When they were first starting to like work together, I'm like, this is getting like low key enemies to lovers. Like when she full like they're at the pageant, he fully like tries to talk to her, and she like walks right by him. I'm like, girl, girl.
Yeah.
That was funny to me. Yeah, Lessons in Chemistry. I think Lessons in Chemistry, Criminal Record, they're both on Apple TV because
Mhm.
I have Apple TV. I'm starting to use it. I got to use all my subscriptions
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
It's adding up. It's
Yeah.
truly adding.
Okay. And next I'm watching Schmigadoon because that just got canceled and everyone was upset about it and I have not heard
Yeah,
anything about
that's
that show.
yeah. If you like musicals, I think that's it's very much an homage to like musicals of like those time periods. Like I think the first season I think it was like 50s or 60s, and then the second season was very like Chicago. Um,
Okay, but question, is it giving Glee or are they original songs?
oh, it's not. It's definitely not Glee. Like I
Okay.
don't think it's yeah. It's very much it's the Schmigadoon is was like the this couple, this estranged couple, is like thrusted into this like musical world
Hmm.
where it's basically like characters that you would find in the musicals. It's not like Glee where they're doing covers. It's like they're built like like Sound of Music. So like the first season's very like 50s and 60s. So you see kind of these stock characters that you would find in those musicals of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you have Dove Cameron, you have Aaron Tveit. I think it's yeah, Aaron Tveit. Kristen Chenoweth's in it.
Ooh.
Um, pulling up names. I have like I see them in my brain, but I can't remember the names right now. But yeah, it's very like iconic like musical actors, Broadway actor and actors and actresses. So they're all singing and they're all dancing. I like the production of it all too. Shmigadoon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's great. It's cute. I
Okay.
am sad it got canceled, but I'm not surprised too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That show and also Silo and For All Mankind are on
um,
my watch list because For All Mankind, it seems like I think that's the longest Apple show, and also I keep
okay.
seeing ads for it on Twitter as well as Silo. And one thing I'm not gonna do is watch Hijack. I don't care, Idris. I don't care. All right, I already know how it plays out. Everybody lives. It's fine. So Silo and For All Mankind. Those are the two shows I'm gonna
Okay.
watch
Yeah.
next. Or at least try to watch. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna watch these shows, and then I'm like, I'm scared. I don't want to watch them. I'm so dumb. Yeah. Are there any other recommendations that you have for the listeners? Anything you've watched recently that you would recommend to other people?
Uh, those are the ones that have stood out to me, other than the shows that we just talked about in this episode. But yeah, but for sure, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think, is probably the best one that I've seen of this year so far.
Yeah. I do have to say, like, a lot of people have been saying a lot of good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am excited to check it out. Because I'm used to do Amazon hit. So,
Yeah.
yes. Also, because, like, I haven't been going to movie theaters lately, but when I do get back to the movie theater, I'm going to
Mm.
watch Lisa Frankenstein and then Madame
Oh
Web.
yeah,
Yeah. Listen,
Lisa Frankenstein's a cute one. That's cute.
it looks like it's fun, and I
It's
love
very
fun
much yeah.
a fun
You
time.
don't need to think too hard on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw that trailer and I was like, that's for me. That's for me right there.
Yeah.
That's my bag. All right. And also, Madam Web. I know that a lot of people have been saying like a lot of things about the movie, and I know when the review embargo goes up, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not gonna care because one thing about it, two things for sure. I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna get my popcorn. I'm gonna lay back in my seat. I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna have the best time I can in the movie theater. Okay, I
Yeah.
watched Argyle, and I got through that movie without too much of a headache. And let me tell you, all you can do is laugh. When something happens, it is absolutely ridiculous.
That's what I did.
All you can do is laugh.
That's what I
Like
did. I kind of at a certain point I was like, "What's happening?" And then towards the end I was like just laughing because I'm like, you know what? This is
they know what's
things are
going on.
happening, and I
Yeah,
thought they knew what was. At least someone knew what was happening. So
yeah. And I do have to say, Dallas Howard, I want her to be. I love her. She's a phenomenal actress. She's an amazing director, and she's. I want more curvy girls on the big screen. I need
mm,
more curvy girls who are leading ladies.
yeah,
Okay, please.
yeah.
And I also love Sam Rockwell. He is.
Oh, he was so. I think for me at least, he was probably the funnest part of that movie. I
Yeah.
think his character was so fun, so loosey goosey, so unserious, just dancing.
Hmm. Yeah, he was having the time of his life. He's like, listen, he was like,
I want to work
guys,
my check.
he was like, y'all, the direct deposit hit, and I'm ready to get lit. Okay, let's go. We'd love to see it. Okay, guys, I want to thank Marissa for coming on the pod. It was so wonderful to have you on. I had a really
Yes.
great time talking about, American Born Chinese, the brothers that with you. This was really awesome. It's really great.
No, yeah, thank you for having me. I know, like, yeah, we've been trying to plan this, and I'm so glad we're able to finally do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you. Um, Time flew by. I
I
can't
know.
believe.
I know. That always happens. And guys, go check out Marissa. She's MarMar on TikTok. Her links will be in the
Mhm.
description down below. Go follow her. Go watch all her vids. She's really great. She's phenomenal. And, don't forget to check out the podcast wherever you find your podcasts. And, don't forget to tell your family and friends about your new favorite podcast, I Forbid You to Watch That. And we will see you guys next week with a new topic, new guests every single week.